glad you could make it. Come in. Don't worry, I saved you a plate. I am delighted to introduce you to my esteemed dinner guests, Mr. Mark Muszynski III.
How do you do?
Sir Christopher Greater Sharialaw London.
How do you do?
And, of course, myself, Lucas Cruikshank, as seen on Nickelodeon Limited. Please, make yourself at home. Ever been here before? You take me as the kind of person who would watch the same thing over and over again for more secrets. Well, let me tell you, this restaurant is the cream of the crop, as it were.
Frankly, I'm amazed we managed to book a table. The waiting list tends to be jam-packed.
But we're all here, at long last, finally together, at MF Donald's.
Oh, darling, you look lost. Oh, of course, I forgot your menu. We're having the 3-courser with cheese and dessert. Not bad, eh? And don't worry, none of us understand the French names either. We're just going along with what sounds tastiest. If you all don't mind, I'd love to give a toast. A toast to the rap concept album.
Rap concept albums have been around for ages, coming in all different shapes and sizes. That being said, the world of conceptual rap music tends to have a serious tone. De La Soul is Dead grappled with the group's conflict with their public perception and their struggle to succeed in a scene dominated by gangster rap. Deltron 3030 is a futuristic opera about one rapper's plight to rebel against a new world order that suppresses human rights and hip-hop alike. To Pimp a Butterfly is a semi-autobiographical look into the life of the institutionalized African American, dealing with topics like depression, police brutality, and Uncle Sam.
These albums all deserve their time and place, but we all know to keep politics off the dinner table. So what can I play for you, my hungry guest? 48 minutes of food-based rhymes, that's what, ladies and gentlemen, Food by MF Doom.
Daniel Dumoulin, also known as MF Doom, and many other pseudonyms, is an American-based rapper best known for his supervillain persona and rhyme-dense humorous lyrical style. Doom was prolific through the 90s and early 2000s, rapping on a number of albums highly acclaimed by the underground hip-hop community. His work with the group KMD challenged many conventions of 90s hip-hop, but most consider his album Mad Villainy, a collaboration with producer Madlib, as his chef d'oeuvre. To follow up such a well-received album was inevitably going to be a challenge, but one which Doom was certainly hungry for.
Designed completely with food in mind, Food is filled to the brim with double entendres and deeper meanings, peeling back the many layers of history between food and rap culture, and ultimately how they all relate back to Doom's experience.
Enough talk. Let's dig in.
Let's start with this. You see Food? Now watch this. In case you haven't noticed, your mind was just blown.
The cover art makes it immediately clear how far the food references stretch throughout the album. At first glance, the cover draws focus to Doom's mischievous grin as he takes a spoonful of cereal. It's only as you notice the finer details that Doom's grin begins to make sense. Looking at his bowl of cereal, we see various dollar signs floating around in the milk. Not only that, but what appears to be the head of the Fantastic Four's Thing.
Crunchy.
This imagery supports his alter ego as a successful supervillain, as he takes in money and takes down heroes as easily as eating breakfast.
Behind the cereal box is a carton of cream, a specific alternative to milk. The label facing Doom has a missing poster, phrased as, "Have you seen me?" This is not just a reference to the classic adverts for lost or missing people on milk cartons, but also a clever taunt at how Doom hides his true identity behind his mask. The other labels on the carton emphasise the cream's richness, naturally making another comparison to Doom's wealth. It could also be a reference to the Wu-Tang Clan's classic single of the same name, which also refers to money and power.
Oh, you must have been starving. Never fret. The second course is already here. We open the album with Beef Rap, which funnily enough is not a beef rap. Wait, what?
Allow me. Beef or having beef is synonymous with holding a grudge towards someone or something. Rapping about one's quarrels with another rapper has proved a fruitful topic, with many beef rap tracks leading to rap battles and even real violence. Doom does not concern himself with anger, however, choosing to poke fun at other rappers for their revealing photo shoots. The skits before the track integrate one of Doom's running themes, audio from old superhero cartoons. The sample here is taken from the 1981 Spider-Man animated series.
Following after is Hoe Cakes, which has a unique source for its beat. The drums are all beatboxed, bringing back a staple of early hip-hop for a track about an early American dish. Also called a Johnny cake, a hoe cake is a cornmeal flatbread traditionally cooked on an iron pan called a hoe. Hoe is also a derogatory slang for a woman, and cake can refer to both one's wealth and a woman's.
We ought not to mention that in a Mark's presentation.
The lyrics cleverly integrate both of these meanings, with Doom rapping about the money he spends on women.
Potholders is about the dangers of dealing drugs, or holding the pot being slang for cannabis. The theme of the track has also been rumoured to be inspired by Doom's longtime friend and fellow rapper, MF Grimm, who was sentenced to life in prison on narcotics charges. For a short while, the two released a series of verses appearing to be antagonising the other due to Doom's supposed lack of support for Grimm after the success of 1999's Operation Doomsday. While the hatchet has long been buried, you might still need some gloves to handle the heat coming from this track.
To chill off, one beer returns to Doom's usual routine of bloating. The lyrics here are less related to food, as the track was originally intended for his previous album Mad Villainy, under the title One Beer, drunk version. It is unclear whether the song is rapped while drunk, though Doom's offbeat delivery has often been described as such. Regardless, the rhymes are wonderfully intoxicating.
Deep Fried Friend is about when friendships turn sour. Doom delves into the real grits of friendships and the countless faces that betrayal can take. Doom relates these unhealthy relationships with deep-fried food, which similarly appears tasty despite gradually killing you. The cheerful beat only makes the message more bittersweet. Before we go any further, I believe I ought to mention, your salad's getting cold.
While you munch on that, let's look over the next few songs, which are short and relatively uneventful. This slew of tracks functions as a sound collage, playing a variety of samples one after the other. The first track samples an old Fat Albert Halloween special. Fat Albert is a character important to black culture, as one of the first black main characters in a cartoon, and for the show's realistic depiction of African American life.
After that is Fillet O Rapper, similarly using an instrumental and some vocal samples. Following that is Gumbo. Gumbo's sample makes a pun from food rapping and vocal rapping.
Shortly after, we have Fig Leaf Bicarbonate. This track uses different samples to imply that food colouring additives are poison, revealing more of Doom's health concerns regarding food.
While these instrumentals do not feature any of Doom's rapping, they have been subsequently used as beats for many other rappers, including Vestair, Joey Badass, and even MF Grimm from earlier. It's like I always say, never let leftovers go to waste.
Oh, I think that waiter's got your next dish. Wait. No, they're definitely coming this way. Oh yes, here it is.
Con Carne, Spanish for with meat, is Doom's evocative tribute to his late brother DJ Subrock, who was also a member of KMD. Subrock tragically died in a car accident in '93, effectively ending the group and hugely impacting Doom's outlook on life. Many aspects of the track reflect on his brother, from the title track replacing the C's with K's to assorted lines throughout his short verse. Guinness's has guest vocals from Angelica and Four Eyes, working together to weave a tragic track dedicated to drinking away the pain. Angelica wrote the verse before she was commissioned for the album, with Doom bringing her on to represent women for one track, a convention of Doom albums. Con Queso is another short masterclass on rhymes. Following the same trend as Con Carne, Con Queso means with cheese in Spanish. The one line in the rap that involves the title references beef patties and cocoa bread, which are both Caribbean foods. This mix of cultures is specific to Doom's upbringing, with a Trinidadian mother and American cuisine.
Next is one of MF Doom's signature tracks, Rap Snitch Knishes with Mr. Fantastic. The track was simply inspired by Doom getting knishes with his friends, combining that with the idea of snitching in court, or telling the authorities information meant to stay secret. Not snitching in court is a point of pride for rappers, as a symbol of trustworthiness and willpower. Spilling the beans, on the other hand, tends to become huge news in the hip-hop world, generating oodles of juicy gossip. The penultimate track is another one of Doom's technical demonstrations. Vomit's bit sees Doom spewing rhymes in all directions. Not explicitly food-related, but still sharp.
Finally, Cookies closes the album by cramming in as many biscuit-related rhymes as possible. The many different meanings of cookies are used throughout the track, from the edible to the HTTP. Intentional or not, this song is closely tied to Langston Hughes' poem, Harlem Sweeties, that compares women to various treats, and with one last cartoon sample, the album comes to a close.
Now. I understand you're plenty full by this point, but let's cut deeper.
African American food culture involves a number of long-running traditions within their history. Many references to their history appear in the album. Look no further than the back of the album, with Doom gleefully mixing a strange concoction with a can of gumbo.
I know we agreed not to talk politics, but if we stick to chewing the fat, we lose some of the nuance of the album.
Everything from barbecue meat to deep fried chicken to shrimp stews have become ubiquitous meals around the world thanks to fast food chains. Yet little appreciation trickles down to those who innovated the recipes to begin with. The food is integrally linked to the suffering that African Americans strive through under slavery, and therefore is highly culturally valued to this day. MF Doom does not solely rap about soul food, however. The man references meals from many disparate cultures, with the collection of tracks showing the vast array of food one can encounter in a single city. The album is a celebration of food as a whole, perhaps as a focal point for which all people can relate.
This appeal to a wider public marks a stark contrast to the underground work Doom was known for up to that point. And it was also his turning point from high repute to legendary status. Even today, the album continues to age like wine.
Getting down to a close, let's sweeten the mood a little and explain the joke behind every single witty line on the album. I hope you made room. For starters, beef rap includes a funny reference to... What's so funny?
Do you really think we have enough time for that? We could spend the rest of the evening reading one-liners on this album, and it would barely be a lick of what it has to offer. I propose we just pick a few of our favorites.
Sure.
He wears a mask just to cover the raw flesh, a rather ugly brother with flows that's gorgeous.
There is a fair amount to unwrap with this first bar. Firstly, he claims that his mask covers his raw flesh, suggesting his face hasn't been exposed to much light or air. At the same time, the comic book character Dr. Doom wore a mask specifically to cover his burnt face. Along with this, More Than One Way Out of the Ghetto by AG of Showbiz and AG features the bar, "Yeah, I'm handsome, but the money made me gorgeous," which Doom could be paying homage to.
Read the signs, no feeding the baboons, seeing as how they got your back bleeding from the stab wounds.
Doom portrays the act of feeding a baboon to be dangerous, and many zoos would tell you likewise. Reading the signs is both a reference to the signs up around a zoo and the metaphorical signs indicating a fake friend. Doom's use of the word feeding can also be taken in different ways, relating to literally feeding a friend or giving them money, and Doom warns that this may all lead to being backstabbed.
In love with Mary Jane, she's my main thing, pulled her right from that web head, what a lame brain. Maintain.
For all the comic geeks out here tonight, this bar's for you. Webhead is a clear jab at Spider-Man, who was an enemy of Dr. Doom in the old Spider-Man comics. Mary Jane Watson was a love interest of Spider-Man, whom Doom claims to have commandeered from the web-slinging superhero. This bar is also a double entendre, considering Mary Jane is slang for cannabis.
Rap snitches, telling all their business, sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here.
This is arguably the most iconic bar in the entire album, which ironically isn't even a Doom bar. Rapped by Mr. Fantastic, it pokes fun at other rappers who rap about the felonies and crimes they commit, comparing that to being your own accuser in a court case, which reflects and introduces the theme of this song so perfectly.
Always threw me off when she told me, Daddy, funk me. I'm like, anywho.
The humorous pause employed by Doom absolutely sells this bar. He is completely thrown off, as is the listener, by the girl who changes the line. The reference to funk also relates to Doom's typical use of funk samples as well as his funky instrumentals.
Food does an incredible job relating food with many themes and concepts of rap music. The album is a testament to MF Doom and his unrivaled lyrical ability. It made a great follow-up to Mad Villainy and solidified 2004 as Doom's year, where everything he touched seemed to turn to pure gold, poetry if you will. And as this presentation draws to a close, following the tragic news, we would like to say rest in peace to Mr. Daniel Dumoulin. Your rhymes have inspired a generation, and you'll forever go down as one of the greatest to ever hold the mic. Thank you for being the illest villain any superhero could ever ask for. That's it for now, but in the meantime, just remember, all caps when you spell the man's name.
And with that, all our plates are empty. Whew! I suppose we should get going before one of us enters a food coma.
Well, I'll be honest, I still have room for another round. Are you sure there aren't any bonus tracks?
Perhaps another night, my friend. I'm going to go on a short fast. Thank you for watching, and my sincerest apologies for all the food puns.
Quite right, they were all cheesy.